Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on this whole AI thing and how we interact with it.
Hi.
But more specifically, this idea of AI co-pilots.
Right.
And I know all of you from the Trento Flying Club. This will probably ring a bell. Do you know how you rely on autopilot systems during your flights?
Yeah.
That's kind of the jumping off point today.
Okay, cool.
We're going to be looking at this article. It's called The Rise of the AI Co-Pilot, Lessons for Design from Aviation and Beyond by Abigail Sellen and Eric Horovitz.
Okay.
It brings up some pretty interesting points about how we can work with AI, safely and effectively.
Right.
Both when we're flying and just in our day-to-day lives.
It's funny how they use that, co-pilot idea from aviation to help us understand AI. It's not really saying AI is taking over or anything. It's more like AI is working with us, like assisting us, helping us make decisions.
Right.
And this goes way beyond just flying. Think of medicine or law, even just simple everyday tasks.
So let's break this metaphor down a little bit.
Okay.
When you're up in the air, your co-pilot isn't just sitting there watching.
Right. Definitely not.
They're actively involved in navigation communication, keeping an eye on the systems.
For sure.
They're a vital part of the team.
Yeah.
This article is saying that's the kind of relationship we should be aiming for with AI.
Okay.
This collaborative partnership where the human is always in control.
Exactly. The article is really clear that the AI co-pilot idea means a system that works under human direction.
Right.
It can do tasks, offer information, act as a backup if needed.
Yeah.
But it's not making the final decisions.
Right, yeah.
The human is still the one who decides, ultimately.
Speaking of staying in control, have you ever found yourself like zoning out a bit during a long flight when the autopilot's on?
Oh, yeah.
It's like our brains kind of switch to autopilot mode too.
Right.
And we have to actually like fight to stay focused.
Definitely.
That's actually spot on because it connects with one of the key points the authors make about aviation.
Yeah.
This problem of vigilance. The more automated a system gets, the easier it is for us to just sort of passively monitor instead of being actively involved.
Yeah.
And that can be a real issue.
Yeah.
As research shows, humans just aren't wired for staying vigilant for long periods.
It's true.
Like that study where people had to watch a clock and see when the second hand jumped ahead. Sounds pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But people start missing things after just a little while.
Yeah.
Really shows the limits of our attention spans.
For sure.
And in aviation, those lapses in vigilance, those can have some serious consequences.
Absolutely.
It makes you think, if we start relying too much on AI and our vigilance drops, could we miss crucial information or not react quickly enough in unexpected situations?
Right.
It's not just about being bored. It's about safety, making sure we're always ready to take over if we need to.
Yeah, you have to be on top of it.
This makes me think about those times when I'm relying on autopilot.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's like a weather change or I have to adjust the flight path.
Right.
It takes a second to mentally switch gears and kind of get back in the pilot seat, so to speak.
Exactly.
It makes you realize how crucial it is to stay engaged, even when everything seems to be running smoothly.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the second lesson from aviation, the takeover challenge.
Okay.
It's that tricky moment when the automated system hits a snag and the human has to jump back in and take control.
Right.
Like you just said, it's not always a smooth transition.
For sure not.
No.
Absolutely. The article mentions the China Airlines flight 006.
Oh, yeah.
Where the pilot got disoriented when an engine failed while they were on autopilot.
Right.
It really highlights how important it is to be able to take over quickly and effectively.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, even after relying on automation for a while.
It really does.
Wow.
It's a serious reminder that even with all this advanced automation, the human still needs to be ready to step in at a moment's notice.
For sure.
And that brings us to another big question. What happens to our skills when we rely too much on AI to do the work?
That's a great point. Think about it in terms of you're flying. If you only ever flew on autopilot, wouldn't your manual flying skills start to get a little rusty?
Yeah, they would, for sure.
You might forget those subtle adjustments, that feel for the aircraft that comes from actually piloting it.
Exactly, that's right. The article calls it de-skilling through automation.
Right.
And it's a worry in a lot of fields if we hand over too much to AI.
Yeah.
We risk losing those essential skills that make us adaptable and effective. You know, it's like anything. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Right. So how do we make sure we're not just becoming passengers in our own lives, letting AI do all the work?
Well, the authors have some ideas. They outline some design principles for creating a better partnership with AI instead of being afraid of de-skilling.
Right.
They suggest we can use AI to actually enhance our abilities.
Okay.
Think about flight simulators.
Yeah.
They're a great way for pilots to practice handling different situations and improve their skills even when they're not actually flying.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
We could use AI to create these personalized learning experiences, right?
Exactly.
Tailored to our needs and helping us stay sharp and adaptable.
The article talks about this idea of building human skills and capabilities.
Right.
Imagine AI-powered training programs that simulate real-world situations, letting you test your skills and learn from your mistakes, but in a safe environment.
Yeah.
It's about using AI to empower us, not replace us.
So we're not just talking about staying sharp as pilots, but staying sharp in all parts of our lives, right?
Good
Using AI as a tool
Yeah.
to help us learn and grow, not just something that does the work for us.
Exactly. And another important principle the authors emphasize is designing for appropriate levels of trust.
Okay.
We've talked about the dangers of blindly trusting automation,
Right.
but we also have to recognize AI's strengths and not dismiss it completely.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Like with your aircraft systems, you trust them to work properly, but you also know their limitations. And you're always ready to step in if you need to.
Exactly. The key is calibration.
Okay.
We need to understand what AI is good at and where it might fall short.
Right.
And that brings us to the idea of building more intelligible systems, AI, that we can understand and reason with.
I can see how that's important in aviation. We wouldn't want to fly with a black box autopilot.
Right.
We want to understand how it works.
Yeah.
What data it's using, why it's making certain decisions.
That's a great point. And it applies to AI systems too. The more transparent and understandable AI is,
Yeah.
the better we can judge its recommendations, spot potential errors, and make informed decisions. It's about building trust through understanding, not blind faith.
It's like having a co-pilot who can actually explain their reasoning and work with you as a partner rather than just giving orders.
Exactly. And the last design principle they talk about is keeping humans in the loop.
Okay.
It's about making sure humans are still actively involved in making decisions, even when AI is helping out.
That makes sense. Even with the autopilot on, you're still making decisions about the flight.
Right.
You're checking weather conditions, talking to air traffic control, adjusting your plans if you need to. You're not just watching, you're actively flying the plane.
That's the kind of dynamic we need to create with AI, too. It's about making sure human judgment and expertise stay central, even as AI systems get more and more advanced.
So we've talked about the potential problems of relying too much on AI, but we've also explored some really promising solutions for designing AI systems that help and improve human abilities. What does all this mean for us, particularly for those of us who spend a lot of time relying on technology in the cockpit?
It's about being thoughtful and proactive about how we integrate AI into our lives.
Okay.
Like with any new technology, we need to understand what it can do, but also where it falls short. And for pilots who are already used to working with complex systems and making big decisions under pressure.
Right.
I think there's some really valuable lessons here.
I totally agree.
Right.
So as we move into a future where AI plays a bigger and bigger role, what does it mean to be a skilled pilot in this new world?
That's a great question to think about.
Yeah, as pilots, we're already so used to working with these complex systems and making decisions based on data and our own experience.
Right.
It feels like those skills are only going to become more crucial as AI gets more integrated into our lives.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the qualities that make a great pilot. Situational awareness, quick thinking, the ability to adjust to changing conditions.
Yeah.
Those are all skills that will be essential in the world of AI.
Right.
We need to be the ones calling the shots, making the big decisions, and ensuring AI is working for us, not the other way around.
It's like we wouldn't blindly rely on autopilot without knowing its limitations.
Exactly.
We can't just blindly trust AI systems either.
Right.
We have to be able to question what they tell us, recognize any biases, and be ready to take over if needed.
I think a key takeaway, especially for pilots, is the importance of staying engaged.
Yeah.
Even when things are automated. Remember that study we talked about before with people watching the clock?
Yeah.
It showed how easily our minds wander, even when we're supposed to be paying attention.
Right.
It reminds us that we need to actively fight against complacency and stay vigilant, whether we're in the cockpit or dealing with AI in other parts of our lives.
So it's not just about the technical side of AI, it's also about having the right mindset.
That's right.
We need to be active participants, critical thinkers, and always prepared to step in.
Exactly. And as AI keeps developing, it's going to require us to adapt and pick up new skills.
Hmm.
It's going to challenge us to think differently about our roles, not just as pilots, but in everything we do.
It's exciting, but kind of scary, too.
Yeah.
We're like pioneers in this new world of human-AI interaction.
And like the early days of aviation, there will be bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But if we learn from the past and use those design principles we discussed, we can create a future where AI helps us do more and achieve new things, both in the air and on the ground.
That's a great way to put it. So to all you pilots out there, especially our friends from the Trento Flying Club,
Yep.
when you're up in the air, remember the skills that make you great pilots.
Yeah.
Your judgment, your adaptability, your ability to think critically.
Uh-huh.
Those are the same skills that will help you navigate this world of AI.
We're all pilots in a way navigating this complex and ever-changing world.
That's true.
And with the right mindset and a willingness to keep learning, I believe we can use AI to create a safer, more efficient, and more fulfilling future for all of us.
Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into AI copilots.
Yeah.
We hope it's given you something to think about and some useful insights as you continue your journey both in the air and on the ground. Until next time, happy flying.